Does one do that? We just see that. That's the only reason I feel that. And you just
Good evening. My wife says everybody's looking at me like you want me to do something. So, welcome to the Carroll County Newspaper's Sports Banquet for 2013. It's nice to see such a great crowd out with us this evening. Appreciate you being here tonight to help us recognize all these athletes, these great young ladies and young men. This event would not be possible if it weren't for our sponsors. So if you would, take just a minute and look on the cards that are on your table. Those are all the sponsors that help us put together the tab that you found in your seat. You're welcome to take those home this evening. If you would like to have extra copies, guess what? I have some for sale. They're on the table out here, and Cynthia will be glad to take the money on those. But we do appreciate all the advertisers that help sponsor this event. Without them, it would not be possible. Before I ask Pastor Philip Wilson to come and bless our food and this evening, I have a couple of items of business that I need to take care of. First thing is, after the prayer, if you will let Amelia and Chan go through the line first. That will help us get out of here. It's like I tell Pastor Phil, the mind can only absorb as much as the seat can endure. I tell him that every Sunday. Don't I, Phil? But I do want to try to get you out of here by 8:30, so that will help us move things along. Second item of business is, if you need to take care of any business, the restrooms are across the hall. That's always important to announce, just straight across the hall. And lastly, I want to thank the staff here at the Inn of the Ozarks for helping us put this banquet together. They have been absolutely great to work with. Matt, Randy, Kathy Hanley, they've just been wonderful, and I really appreciate them. So, if you will, I'm going to ask Pastor Phil Wilson from the First Christian Church here in Eureka Springs to come forward and bless our evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We do have a lot to be thankful for. I left the house about 5 minutes after 6, and there were tornadoes on the ground about 30 miles west of Oklahoma City. Aren't you glad they're not here in Eureka Springs? We can be thankful for that. We live in a great country. We can be thankful for our country. And we live in a very beautiful spot in our country, and so we can be thankful for that. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we bow our heads before you because you are awesome, you are powerful, and you love us. I dedicate this evening to your honor and glory. I thank you for the athletes that are here. I thank you for giving them the strength and the health and the developing skill, Lord. I pray that you would continue to watch over them and protect them in their careers. Father, I thank you for Carroll County News and for the heart they have for our community. And for our youth. I pray your blessing upon them. Father, I thank you for the food that we're going to enjoy tonight. I pray that our bodies would be nourished and strengthened by it. And in all things we want to love you. We thank you for all of this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And variable. And I realized at that point that this was going to be a lot of fun. And watching these athletes and others that are on the teams with them has been more than what I could have ever bargained for. Tonight we're going to hear from a former Green Forest graduate, Amelia Valines. who has traveled an immense way to get here to be a part of this. As we were putting this together, I sort of came across Dr. Seuss, and I'm sure that most of you are familiar with Dr. Seuss. And in 1990, he wrote a book called "Oh, the Places You Will Go." And one of the quotes is, "You're off to great places. Today is your day." And tonight is your night, the night that we've set aside to honor you. Amelia kind of exemplifies the places that you can go through athletics and academics, and I'm going to let her talk more about that. She packaged those two things together at Green Forest. She was valedictorian of her class, senior class president, captain of the volleyball, soccer, and basketball teams. She had 12 all-conference awards and set a state record in Arkansas with 9 all-state honors. And if I'm not mistaken, that record still holds today. She had an opportunity to go into the Naval Academy, which she politely passed up and decided to go to Stanford University just south of San Francisco, California. And as you can see, she's sort of a tough cookie. I'm glad I didn't have to play against her. I've talked to all of her coaches along the way through Green Forest, and they all said the same thing, that nobody worked harder and nobody had more discipline. And those two items have allowed her to get to the position that she's at today. So she gets to Stanford and walks on to the rugby team after never have played rugby in her life. But that's what she wanted to do. She kind of wanted to package together all the skills she learned from all her other sports. So she goes to Stanford and walks on. She was the 2012 Collegiate Player of the Year, just recently announced by Rugby Magazine, which is the national rugby syndicated magazine. She played in the 2009 and 2010 Division I national title games at Stanford, where she graduated with a BS in Civil Engineering and Architectural Design, and she's working now in Minneapolis as an Associate Project Engineer with Research and Development. Her journey is not through, more than likely. There are other places that she's going to go. One of them possibly being Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to compete for the United States rugby team in the 2016 Summer Olympics. We're not sure if this is what she's going to do, but she has that option. The invitation has been given, just like your invitation has been here tonight. So, oh, the places you will go. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Amelia Valline.
Sorry. You know, I always ask them to have better photos of me. Apparently, I make that face in all of my photos, so that's great. First of all, I want to thank the Carroll County newspaper for asking me to give a speech. I'm very honored to be here and speaking to all of you. And congratulations to all the athletes for all the successes that you've had throughout the year. You know, when Chan asked me to speak to all of you, I thought about saying no at first because I wasn't sure what in the world I would be able to tell you about. But then I realized that through sports and academics, I have learned a lot of life lessons, you know, at my old age of 23. And I think that they could be extremely valuable to the young people in this room today. So, yeah, so I'll just dive right in. So, the summer before my freshman year of high school, I saw someone pole vaulting on TV, and I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And I knew I wanted to be a pole vaulter. So I went and grabbed a broomstick from our garage, and I proceeded to jab the broomstick in our backyard and pole vault across our yard. And it was so much fun. I later blamed the 100 or so holes in our backyard on a massive groundhog attack. My parents were not very amused by that. But then I went and talked to Coach Martin. I think still coaches track at Green Forest. Yeah. I was like, Coach Martin, if I can't pole vault, I'm not going to do any other event. And so Coach Martin, being the accommodating man that he is, and also probably to shut me up a little bit, decided to take me to Berryville to use their facilities. And they were nice enough to let me use their facilities, and they let me borrow a pole, and the coach was nice enough to teach me a little bit about pole vaulting, and that was it. I decided I am going to be a pole vaulter. So the next 4 years consisted of me begging my mother for a pole. I think there were a lot of tears involved in that one. Another coach deciding to take me to Eureka to use their facilities, except he only had a small car, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with how long a pole is, but it's about 12 feet long. So I had to hold it outside of the window. I'm sure it was pretty funny. But then I decided, I'm going to have to figure out my own training facilities. So I looked up some specs on the metal part of a pole vaulting pit, and I built a wooden pole vaulting pit, and I buried it into our sand pit. And I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to learn how to pole vault. And I had a pole, so I started using that, and I started getting higher and higher until one day I got too high. And so I propelled myself out of the sand pit and got too high, couldn't land on my feet, landed on my back. Thought my life was over, I had died. And I'm pretty sure the football coach who came sprinting over thought I had died as well. But actually that was the best thing that could ever happen to me, because I then became a liability to the school. So they decided that they were going to have to buy me a pole vaulting pit. So they bought me this really bad pole vaulting pit. But I was just so happy to have something to land on. I would have taken anything at that point. It was so bad that it didn't actually have the bar that goes across the standards at top. So I had to take a bungee cord, get up there and tie it across. If I hit the bungee cord, the standards would actually fall in on top of me. So it was extra incentive to get up over the height, because it would hurt if I didn't. And so by the end of my 4 years at Green Forest, to my surprise, to Coach Martin's surprise, and really anyone who was involved in those early days, I had won the 3A state champion pole vaulting event. And so that brings me to my first lesson, which is, if you work hard enough and never give up, even when you think you've seen the light of God from falling on your back so hard, you're going to succeed in one way or another. More times than none, success is determined by how hard the person works and how determined they are to succeed. So as you can tell, I was a pretty competitive kid growing up. I think it spawned from playing outdoors with the boys in my neighborhood. I was always trying to assert my equality through my athleticism. And before I knew it, this competitiveness transferred into every part of my life. I think my brother is still scarred from the number of times I've thrown a checkerboard at him after he beat me handedly in a game. But to be fair, he was 6 years older than me. Anyway, so it transferred into my academics heavily. I remember when I was younger, if I didn't get a grade on a test or assignment that I thought was acceptable, I would be visibly upset. And my classmates would be like, "What's wrong, Amelia?" And I'd be like, "Oh, my parents are going to be so mad at me. I'm going to be in so much trouble." That wasn't true at all. That was just a lie. I was going to be mad at me. I was so mad. I thought that I had lost that test, it had beaten me, and that was not okay with me. And so when the dream of going to Stanford came into conception, I decided to wage war on the ACT test. I knew this was my ticket to get into an elite program. So I took the ACT practice test everywhere I went. I studied on bus rides to games. I studied on bus rides home from games. I studied in the stands before games. I studied on the weekends. I studied at lunchtime. I studied all the time. Even when I had the front cover ripped off because of my cat's amazing projectile vomiting skills. It's a long story. It was really embarrassing. I'm sure you can imagine. But to this day, I will tell you the reason I got into Stanford was not because of my athletic accomplishments, but rather my academic success. So this brings me to lesson number 2. While sports can give you immeasurable skills and character traits, which you're probably all aware of, academic success is guaranteed, and I mean guaranteed, to take you anywhere you want to go in life. If you want to go to the moon, it can take you to the moon. If you want to go travel the world and see amazing things, it can do that for you. Intelligence is one of the most valuable attributes a person can have in today's world. So like I said, I grew up playing with boys in my neighborhood. There weren't a lot of girls around. And we grew up playing a lot of games, but one of the games we played the most was football. And I loved football. It was one of the most amazing sports to me. But 7th grade was an eye-opener to me. So 7th grade was the first year that we were all allowed to play tackle football. And that was the first time that someone told me I couldn't do something. When I told someone that I wanted to play football, they said I couldn't, and they were shocked that I wanted to play. And you know, that made me sad, and it made me embarrassed, and it made me ashamed of my gender. But more than anything, it made me mad. I was so mad that those people dared tell me that I couldn't do something that those little boys could do. I had been doing it the whole time. So this anger changed into a type of motivation for me. I was determined to go out and play. And so it was my inspiration when the pads didn't exactly fit because they're not designed for female attributes. You know, and helmets don't have holes in them for ponytails, in case you're wondering. So I had to shove all my hair under a swim cap. It was really hot and uncomfortable. You know, and I kept playing when I was getting ran over by guys 3 times my size. I still don't know what they were feeding those guys, but it hurt really bad. But I kept playing because I was determined to prove that I could do that. And so throughout my life, I've encountered this type of negativity. When I started playing rugby for Stanford, I had a coach that was constantly telling me that I wasn't good enough to play. And instead of letting this get to me, I changed it into a type of motivation. I decided that I was going to prove to myself and I was going to prove to him that I could play. And so I stayed after practice longer. I went to practice early. I practiced when we didn't even have practice. I did everything I could to be the best. And then when I went to play for the U20's national team in London for the National Cup, or the Nations Cup, I had a coach sit me down and tell me I wasn't good enough to play. And at that point, I said to myself that in the next 4 years, by the end of my senior year at Stanford, I was going to be the best collegiate rugby player in the U.S. And so when I got home, I put my head down, I started working. I started training harder, practicing longer, practicing earlier, everything I could do to be that player. And so by the end of my 4 years, like he said, I was named National Player of the Year by Rugby Mag. So this brings me to lesson number 3. There will always be people constantly telling you that you can't do something. It seems to be a natural human behavior. Rather than letting this get you down, rather than letting it keep you from doing something, letting it keep you from trying something, turn it into a type of motivation to succeed, to work harder, to try harder, to be better. Because no one can tell you that you can't do something except for yourself. Yeah, so when I started playing rugby for Stanford, I didn't actually realize how good the team was. I was really caught up on the weird shape of the ball and the fact that I was finally going to get to tackle someone. I had dreamed of tackling someone since my 7th grade stint as a football player. In fact, when I went and played in my first game as a rookie, I actually clotheslined a girl I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that term means, but I basically stuck my arm out and tried to decapitate the girl. Because I thought rugby was an anything goes type of game. It is not. That is highly illegal. It should never be done in any situation, in any situation in life, really. I got to go have a nice talking to with the coach, or the ref, I'm sorry. The girl was okay, though. Yeah, so I didn't realize how good the team was, but actually that year there were 4 All-Americans on the team, and they had just finished winning a national championship. In fact, I was baffled by the fact that while I was trying to figure out what a scrum was, they were trying to win another national championship. These were the best women in the U.S. They were the best players at what they did. And so, looking back, I realized that if I would have played on any other team, I would have not become the rugby player that I am today. Because the competitor in me pushed me to become as good as my teammates, I became better. They set the standard so high for me that it pushed me beyond anything that I thought possible. And so, when I look back at times in my life, I can probably tell you a person that helped me succeed at every point. When I was growing up, I had 2 best friends, Erin and Michaela. One of the things that bonded us together was the fact that we wanted to be number 1 in the class. And so when we got into high school, we wouldn't let ourselves get lower than an A because we knew we would fall below the other 2. And we refused to let that happen. And so we pushed ourselves to study harder, to be better students, to just be better at what we were doing. And so by the end of our senior year, we were co-valedictorians. So this brings me to my 4th lesson. Your teammates, classmates, or coworkers are the most valuable resource in striving for success. If you surround yourself with greatness, you are bound to become great yourself. Yeah, so my last lesson is to dream big. When I was a freshman in high school, I decided that I wanted to be an All-American soccer player. I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know how to get there. Well, I knew I wanted to become one. So I did extra sprints, I did extra workouts, I practiced on the weekends, I practiced just extra. I did not become an All-American soccer player, but I did get an All-State award for every year that I played soccer at Green Forest. And then these number of All-State awards added to me setting the record for the number of All-State awards won by any athlete in Arkansas. And I attribute this to the fact that I dreamed so big. Although I didn't reach my dream, because I dreamed so massively, I still did things that I never thought possible. I still was successful. I bet if you were to ask everyone in this room if they reached their goals, if they've reached their dreams, they will most of them will say no. But if you ask them if they ever regretted going after their dreams with everything that they had, they will also say no. It's not always about meeting your dreams, but rather the process of getting to it, because it will make you a better person. You will have successes along the way. So dream humongously, dream massively, because you will be successful in some way or another, and you will go beyond any expectations that you have set for yourself. So I'd like to leave you with something my father told me after I lost the national championship. He's not a very emotional man. I'm not a very sensitive man. And I'm going to try to imitate him here. Amelia, life is like raising a bunch of stupid darn turkeys. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And what my dad was so eloquently trying to say there is life is full of its ups and downs, full of its failures and successes. But those moments of failure make for successes. So relish in those moments of failure. Relish in them, because they're going to make you successful in the end. So thank you for listening to me. I know you were kind of forced to, but congratulations to all the athletes for all your successes, and I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
So work hard, dream big. Where will you go? If you're a senior this year, college, workforce, wherever it may be, give your best effort, be disciplined. And I love what she says, Amelia, great speech. Thank you so much. Surround yourself with good people. Bad people will pull you down, good people will pull you up. You will never pull bad people up. So if you surround yourselves with negative, you will become negative. Surround yourself with positive, you will become positive. I think Amelia is a walking, talking exhibition of that. To be this size, and the picture that was up here with her hitting someone like wrapped up, perfect form tackling, right? Football guys? That's determination. You ever seen the picture of the bird that's swallowing the frog and the frog has his grip around the bird's neck? That's determination. You're not going to defeat me. Have that determination in life in every venture that you take, whether it be sports, academics, whatever it may be, and you will be successful. We're going to recognize some successful people here tonight. If that's for me, take a message, please. So we're going to start off. Are we on target here, Chip?
Waiting on you, champ.
Waiting on me?
Waiting on you.
Okay. We're going to start off with the first award tonight for the Carroll County News Football Player of the Year. There are only 2 nominations. Eureka Springs, let's get on board with this. It's time to have a football program. Right, guys? The nominees are from Berryville, Blake McCullough. And from Green Forest, Clayton Watson. And the award goes to Green Forest, Clayton Watson. Green Forest started out 0-3 this year.
Congratulations.
0-4, wound up in the playoffs.
Yeah. Flash. Yeah.
It's the on button, David.
I know. There we go. One more. There we go.
Our next award will be for the Carroll County News Volleyball Player of the Year. And the nominees are from Eureka Springs, Haley Comstock. From Green Forest, Tara Harrell. And from Berryville, Hannah Noble. And the winner is, from Berryville, Ms. Hannah Noble. So we move to our girls basketball player of the year. The nominees are from Eureka Springs, Taylor Osterhout. From Green Forest, Cody Powell. And from Berryville, Brittany Smith. And your 2013 Carroll County News Girls Basketball Player of the Year from Berryville, Brittany Smith.
One more.
Boys Basketball Player of the Year. The nominees are from Berryville, Austin Carr. From Eureka Springs, Josh Primo. And from Green Forest, Clayton Watson. Your 2013 Carroll County News Boys Basketball Player of the Year from Eureka Springs, Josh Primo. Now we'll move outside for the rest of the presentation since it's all outside spring sports, starting with Girls Soccer Player of the Year. The nominees are from Eureka Springs, Kyla Boardman. From Berryville, Rachel Lear. And from Green Forest, Alma Ortega. To 2013 Girls Soccer Player of the Year from Green Forest, Alma Ortega. Boys Soccer Player of the Year. The nominees are from Green Forest, Hector Lopez. From Eureka Springs, Oscar Mendez. And from Berryville, Jose Sanchez. Your 2013 Boys Soccer Player of the Year from Green Forest, Hector Lopez.
Congratulations. Good job.
Right here. One more. Okay, that's good.
Softball Player of the Year. The nominees are from Green Forest, Keelan Bell. From Berryville, Emma Hill. From Eureka Springs, Abby Moore. 2013 Carroll County News Softball Player of the Year from Green Forest, Keelan Bell.
Congratulations.
One more.
And we're down to baseball. The nominees from Green Forest, Mr. Gustin Byers. From Eureka Springs, Dylan Gresham. From Berryville, Anthony Noster. The 2013 Carroll County News Baseball Player of the Year, from Berryville, Mr. Anthony Noster. High School, Miss Hannah Noble. The 2013 Carroll County News Male Athlete of the Year, from Green Forest, Mr. Clayton Watson.
One more.
Athletes, as you can tell, I carry a camera around. You never know when the lens is watching you. I take some very candid photos, and all that this year has been designed to be here tonight in this arena to honor you. I congratulate you all, and I look forward to next year's ventures. So let's not forget what Dr. Seuss kind of so vividly explained to us about the places that we can go, and what Amelia Valines gave to us in her speech. Can you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guarantee. You have to want it, and you have to make it happen. Thank you for making this night happen. Thank you for being here. I'm done. Y'all are dismissed. Speak amongst yourselves. No rush to leave.
We're ahead of schedule. Told you to be out here by 8:30. We even beat 8 o'clock. So thank you all for coming. Appreciate it very much.